Hello, DIY Dad here. I'm just sat in my kitchen tonight, trying to gather my thoughts together as to what I'm about to tell you, because it's all very... There's like a timeline of weirdness that's happened, that's brought us to a fairly sort of interesting decision, I suppose. Where do I start? We recently went on holiday to Lanzarote. Let's start there. My other half was in the sun. Everyone likes being in the sun. And she said she'd made a promise to herself 25 years ago when she used to work on cruise ships. She would never, ever settle in the UK. She'd always settle abroad. So, 25 years later, we're living up in the north of Cumbria with 2 kids. She's settled in the UK. So she's sort of broken that promise to herself. While we were in Lanzarote, we met a Spanish photographer, and she'd spent 4 years in London doing her sort of training for a photography degree. And she said by the end of the training, she was actually depressed because of the weather in the UK. She was actually depressed. And she actually ended up leaving because of it, and came back to Spain, where she was from, and she was immediately happier. And these conversations, they sort of started a massive sort of chain of events, and we started talking. We were like, well, we have talked about this before, about what we're going to do. What are we going to do? Are we going to continue as we are? And being honest, the wife, with me being away from... I love my work, but I'm willing to sort of shelve that for now, because I know this doesn't fit in with my family. And it's starting to become a bit of a dream of what's happening. So we sat down one day, and we sat in the other house like, I'm not happy, I've got so much to do when you're not here. We've got an eldest daughter that's ADHD and slightly autistic, really struggling to deal with her on my own and to home educate both the kids at the same time. We need to do something about it. And so we just said, well, what are the options? What are the options? I get a job locally, still not here in the day. You're still going to struggle in the day. I'm going to be unhappy, and you're going to be unhappy. So we said, right, fine. Let's try something then. Why don't we just sell everything we own and leave the house with a bag each, and we'll just go. And we said, okay, we'll do that then. So that's what we've decided to do. We're selling the house. I've sold pretty much majority of all the tools and machines and things that I've accumulated over the years. So my container's pretty much empty now. We're selling every single thing in the house. Everything's going. We're literally... The things we're keeping will be my van, because we need it to put stuff in, some clothes. And I'm going to keep my basic toolkit that I use on a daily basis to repair things. Everything else that we own is going. Everything. The kids are leaving with a little tiny bag of toys that they want to keep. That's it. We're leaving. The plan is, well, there isn't one currently, but the plan is to basically stay in the UK for a month because it's expensive. Then we'll go abroad. And when we've gone abroad, we don't particularly plan to come back, if at all. So this is a big decision, and we both believe it's the right thing to do. Something else which has sort of come to light with all of this is the fact that the UK is slowly falling to bits. Now, I've talked to 10 or 15 people, all of which have bought stuff off me, and I've said, I'm selling this stuff because this is what we're doing. And then And the reactions of people have really, really surprised me. I never expected to get these sort of reactions. And every single one of them has gone, oh, that's amazing, that's brilliant, I wish I could do that. And then they've said things like, this is an example, one of them said, oh, my brother lives in Hong Kong. And every time he comes back to the UK, he says to me, every time I come back here, I can see the UK has somehow degraded degraded slightly and become more backwards. Every time I come, it's a bit worse. And the reason that we don't notice it living here is because we live here. It's like the frog or a lobster in a pan of boiling water. If you drop it into the boiling water, it obviously notices. But if you slowly heat the water up, they don't notice it getting hotter and hotter. And that's the same thing with us in the UK. We haven't realised how bad it's got. People are struggling to afford to just survive now on a daily basis. They don't save money or do any of that. And me, for one, I'm just absolutely sick to death of it, because every time you think you get ahead, something else they find something else to charge you, or some other tax, and you're just like, let's just give up. Why are we staying in the UK? There's no reason for us to stay in the UK. And this is obviously a massive decision, and so the guy I work for, I've said, this is what I'm doing. And I procrastinated about saying anything because I wasn't really sure what was happening until we were sure the house was sort of going to be sold. And again, his reaction was fantastic. He was like, well, it was almost like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. Can I come with you, kind of thing. And it's really difficult to get your head around selling everything you own, because you've worked all your life for all the stuff you've got, and then you think, I'm not going to have any of it. But then it's not making us happy. So we've decided that this is what we're going to do. We're just going to sell everything and go. Don't have a specific plan. We're taking it step by step because it's massively overwhelming. I've struggled with selling everything and but it's actually it's going to be quite rewarding, and not having all this stuff around you all the time, you worrying about it. So there we go. That's what we're doing. We're going to leave the UK with an aim to travel. We're going to world school the kids. The kids are going to learn a lot being outside the UK. They're going to learn new languages, new customs, new food, different ways of life, different ways of living. And sort of our aim is to go and find somewhere where the weather is a little bit more sunny, for example, and maybe settle in a far-flung country. But we don't know where, because we've not been there yet. I mean, I've travelled in the past. I've been to lots of countries which I like the look of, but we haven't lived there. So we're going to go around, we're going to travel. Some of it may be, we're thinking about Europe in a camper van in the summer, do all of Europe. We're thinking about going to Bali. There's lots of Costa Rica, Cuba. There's all these places that we want to see. So that's it. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to document this through videos as we go along, to see, well, how we do it and how we get on. Because at the moment, we've both decided that we're more scared of staying static in the UK in doing something that we're not happy about doing, than jumping and saying and the unknown. Because everybody's terrified of the unknown. It's like, oh, what if this? What happens if this and that happens? And you're like, well, we'll just work through it. But isn't it? I think it's more exciting and gives the kids more life experience doing this than just staying static in one place, not doing anything, and just basically complaining about things in the UK. I'm fed up of complaining. And the problem with us in the UK is we like to complain, but we won't do anything about it. For example, in France, if they don't like something, they'll blockade the ports until the government gives in. They won't stop, they'll just sit there forever. In the UK, we might have a little process and they go, oh, well, we tried, didn't we? That's not good enough. And I'm not going to put up with what's happening in the UK anymore. It's just ridiculous, the way that people are being squeezed, told lies, and the way people are living. They're just living literally hand to mouth now. It's just not fair. So all of those things together, family, based stuff and country based stuff, it's all come to a head for us, and we're just like, enough's enough. We'll try somewhere else. We might find it's worse in other places, but it might be better. We don't know until we go. So I'm going to document it all as we go and see how we get on. So in terms of the house, that's an interesting story. When we first moved about 2.5 years ago, it was a really traumatic move, as it normally is in the UK. It's a nightmare, the housing market. We lost the house twice and ended up with it. It was just, after we were halfway through buying a house in Scotland, the lady that owned this one actually came back to us and said, "Oh, are you still interested?" "Oh, for God's sake, no." And it's just one of them where we just thought, yeah, right, we always wanted it, yes. No, we ended up having a new roof and doing loads of work and spending a lot more money than we wanted. So, sounds normal, doesn't it, really? So, after that happened, about 2 weeks after we'd been in the house, somebody put a letter through the door. And they said, "Oh, if you ever think about selling, we're the people that lost the house to you, for whatever reason. If you're ever interested in selling, let us know." This is like 2.5 years ago, and we were like, they'll have moved. But we kept the letter. Just, I don't know why we did. We had this feeling, we just kept it. So, contacted them, and weirdly, they had a first-time buyer for their house ready to go, and we just hit it at the right time. They said, "Oh yeah, definitely, we're still interested. We're still trying to find a house in the village that you're in." Like, what? So literally, they came round like that weekend, and the house was sold. It didn't even go on the market. So it's one of those situations where you go, well, this is just meant to be. So that's been going on for a month now, and it looks like we'll be done in maybe 12 weeks. So there's no going back now. The decision was made, and the house sold straight away. So we're just like, wow, well, no, this is getting a bit real. Because it's easy to make these decisions, then just carry on with your life and think, oh, nothing's going to happen, it's fine. And then you're like, wow, we're going to have to start telling people what we're doing. And so we have. And again, people's reactions are just like, yeah, you've only got one life. If that's what you want to do that. So yeah, it's quite, the whole thing is quite mind blowing. And now we're struggling with the whole, like the complexity of like extracting ourselves from the lives we're in now. I mean, we've done 2-car boot sales, we've done quite well and raised quite a bit of money, but the stuff in the house, we moved from a 4-bedroom to a 2-bed, got rid of half our stuff, and we've still got loads of stuff, and it's just, we don't need all this stuff in our lives. It's just stressful. It's stuff we've accumulated. So we've got stuff for sale all over the place, and we're just trying to get rid of it. It's going to be difficult getting rid of some things because, like your kitchen utensils and things, you're going to need those right up to when you leave the house. But when you move house, you take them with you, don't you? But we're not going to be doing that. So I don't know what we're going to do with some, the general day-to-day stuff that we're going to need right up to that point. It's not going to be very easy because initially we're going to Airbnb, so we're not going to need anything. Literally, the clothes we stand up in and a means to get there. That's all we're going to have. So I don't know what we're going to do with it all. It's quite hard, and there's a lot of sentimental items where you're just like, well, do we need to keep these? No, maybe not. I don't know. And I've just decided that memories are there, and my brother is going to take a couple of boxes, not much, just for stuff that we really can't get rid of. But that's all. Our lives are going to be completely wiped clean from what we've got now. We're literally starting a new life. And for me, it's going to be very, very different because I'm used to getting up at like 5:30 in the morning and driving 2 hours, and then getting into the woods and driving machines for 11 hours a day and fixing things and being really busy and being on my own a lot. And that's not what my life's going to be. It's going to be concentrating on the kids because they need me. I'm quite aware of that. The kids need me. We're going to need planning for the travelling we do. We're going to need a lot of planning for that. And it's just going to be completely different to what I'm used to. And I'm quite looking forward to it. I need to spend more time with the kids. I want to do a lot more of sort of the home education stuff with them, which I don't get to do because I'm obviously not here. But it's one of those things where kids definitely need a father, some sort of father figure in their life, and you can tell it's not, single mothers, for example. It's quite difficult for them because sometimes don't have this father figure, and when kids grow up, you can tell it's like something missing. That it's not nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. So what I'd like to do is to try and grow this channel a bit, and for those people that don't have that sort of figure, I'd like to try and teach them that as well. So that's something I'm going to do a bit of as well, like what to do with your kids, and what do I do in the home education setting, and all of this sort of stuff, because people tell me I'm quite knowledgeable about lots of stuff, because of my I'm a bit reserved with it all, and I feel like I don't know much, and I feel like I'm not good enough all the time. But the reality is that the information I've got is massive, but I sort of don't believe that, but other people do, and I feel like if I'm in a position to impart some information to people that need it, then fantastic. If it helps people, brilliant. So I'm going to do a bit of that. I'm obviously going to teach my kids. We're going to spend lots of time together. We're going to see lots of amazing things. I gave them both a piece of paper and said, right, draw what you want to see in the world. And we got things like mermaids and unicorns, so I think we're going to struggle with them. But we've also got lots of other sea creatures like manatees and narwhals and things. So yes, will we see these things? Probably, yeah. Wherever we're going to go, yeah, we can see lots of these things. But the kids are young and they don't know what's in the world. So it's quite difficult for them to sort of think about. They think of animals and things, but they don't know about countries and things they want to see. So we'll take them there anyway, and they'll get to see that. So this is a massive decision for us. I thought that a lot of people's sort of reactions would be quite negative to it because of their own fears. People are fearful of what they don't know, and they're fearful of change. A lot of people are fearful of change, which is why a lot of people stay for example, some people stay in the same job for years because they're scared of movement or that kind of thing. Just an example. And I've been like that. So it's mind blowing what this decision we've suddenly made. We've just gone, right, we're gonna do it. And we've just literally said, yeah, we'll do it. And we haven't really thought about how we're going to do it. But I think that's the first step. If you're thinking about doing it and you're sort of procrastinating, I think that's a bit of a worry, because you say, I'll do it when so-and-so happens, or when the kids are a bit older, or when this happens, and that basically means that when you get to that point, you'll find another excuse not to do it. And that's a bit like us, who are like, oh, we'll give it a year and we'll do this, we'll do that. And we've read lots of information, watched lots of things about other people who've done a similar thing, and there is no golden rule about how to do all of this. You have to just jump in with your feet, and everything will be okay. I found this over the years, financially and with jobs and things, and everything's all right in the end. You've got to think like that. Things just seem to work out. It's just the way it is. It's very rare that somebody does and makes a decision like that and ends up on the streets with their family gone and that kind of stuff. You work things through, and if there's any issues, you just work around them, and things are always okay. That's the way you've got to think. So that's what we're going to do. That is our sort of big news, is the fact that we're selling everything we own. I'm leaving work, and we're going to travel potentially the world with the kids and teach them stuff. And we're going to document it on here. So there you go. So if anyone's got any questions for me, feel free to ask questions, because I'm sure I don't have the answers. And if you've done this, leave something down below and say, yes, you're doing the right thing. That's a fantastic idea. that will encourage me. So, until next time, we'll speak again.